Admiral Kethvar's four eyes swept across the tactical display, each compound lens reflecting the crimson glow of defeat. The Zephyrian fleet, what remained of it, hung in tatters around the dying world of Kepler 442b. 6 months of siege warfare had reduced the once proud armada to scattered debris and broken dreams. Status report. Kethvar clicked through his mandibles, though he already knew the answer would taste of ash. 70% casualties, Admiral, his tactical officer, Irinda, responded with the flat tone of someone who had delivered too much bad news. The Devourers have breached sectors 7 through 12. Estimated time before total planetary consumption, 14 standard hours. The Devourers. Even their name sent ripples of terror through the galactic community. A machine intelligence that consumed entire worlds, converting matter into more of themselves with ruthless efficiency. They had already swallowed 17 systems, leaving nothing but empty space where civilizations once thrived. The Nexus Council? Kethvar asked, though hope had long since abandoned his voice. Radio silence from all member species. The Centaurians evacuated their border worlds yesterday. The Altarians have retreated to their home system. Irinda's antennae drooped. We're alone, sir. Kethvar closed all four eyes. Alone against an unstoppable force that had crushed every military in the galaxy. The mathematical models were clear. Victory was statistically impossible. The Devourers adapted faster than any organic species could innovate. They learned from every engagement, becoming stronger, smarter, more efficient. It was, by every measure of galactic military science, an unwinnable war. The bridge fell silent except for the distant rumble of Devourer mining ships carving up the planet's crust like cancer cells consuming healthy tissue. Kethvar was preparing to give the retreat order, the final, shameful retreat that would abandon 6 billion Keplerians to their fate, when Irinda's antennae shot upright. Admiral, I'm detecting massive hyperspace distortions. Something big is coming through. Devourers? Kethvar asked, though he couldn't imagine what reinforcements the machines would need for a simple planetary harvest. No, sir. The signatures are strange. I've never seen anything like them. The space around Kepler 442b suddenly erupted with light as dozens of vessels dropped out of hyperspace. But these weren't the geometric, efficient designs of known galactic civilizations, nor the cold, angular perfection of Devourer construction. These ships were chaotic, asymmetrical. Some looked like they'd been welded together from spare parts, others appeared to be repurposed civilian vessels bristling with improvised weapons, and they were broadcasting on all frequencies, not with the usual military protocols or diplomatic channels, but with something Kethvar had never heard in a war zone. Laughter. Yeehaw! Did y'all see the size of these mechanical bastards? Dibs on the big one with all the laser turrets. Johnny, I told you to stop drinking before battle. That wasn't beer, that was coolant fluid, completely different. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, would you look at the size of that mothership? Irinda's compound eyes widened. Sir, they're identifying themselves as humans, from a species called Terrans in the Sol system. I've never heard of them, Kethvar muttered, watching as the human fleet, if it could be called that, charged directly toward the Devourer formation. Are they insane? His question was answered when the lead human vessel, a patchwork monstrosity that looked like 3 different ships had crashed into each other and decided to stay that way, opened a channel to the Zephyrian flagship. The face that appeared on screen was unlike anything in Kethvar's xenobiology database. Bilateral symmetry, primitive binocular vision, and a disturbing tendency to bare its teeth. But strangest of all were its eyes. Not the careful, calculating gaze of a military commander, but something wild and reckless and utterly unafraid. Admiral, the human barked in surprisingly good galactic standard. Captain Sarah Chen, Terran Expeditionary Force. We heard you folks were having trouble with some overgrown calculators. Captain Chen, Kethvar began carefully, I must advise you that the situation here is mathematically hopeless. The Devourers have superior numbers, adaptive technology, and math? Chen interrupted, and that disturbing dental display grew wider. Admiral, you're thinking about this all wrong. See, we humans have a saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And another one, hold my beer and watch this. I don't understand. Course you don't. That's because you're thinking like a rational being. Chen's laughter crackled over the comm. But here's the thing about humans. We stopped being rational about 50,000 years ago when we decided to hunt mammoths with pointy sticks. Boys and girls, let's show these chrome-plated desk calculators why Earth never gets invited to the nice parties. What followed defied every principle of military science Kethavar had ever learned. The human fleet didn't form battle lines or execute complex maneuvers. Instead, they scattered like a school of fish, each ship following its own chaotic trajectory. When Devourer vessels moved to intercept, the humans did something unprecedented. They rammed them. Not with purpose-built ramming ships or kinetic kill vehicles, but with whatever they had, including what appeared to be a converted passenger liner with party boat painted on the side. But that wasn't the strangest part. The strangest part was that it worked. Every time the Devourers adapted to human tactics, the humans would do something completely different. When the machines learned to counter their ramming attacks, the humans started using their own ships as improvised projectiles, ejecting in escape pods while their vessels careened into Devourer formations. When the Devourers adapted to that, the humans began using their escape pods as weapons, turning life-saving equipment into suicide bombers. This is completely illogical, Irinda observed, watching a human fighter craft somehow perform a barrel roll while firing in 3 different directions. Their ships aren't even designed for these maneuvers. No, Kethvar said slowly, understanding beginning to dawn. They're not designed for any maneuvers. Look at their vessels. Half of them are improvised modifications. They're making it up as they go along. And that was the Devourer's fatal flaw. They were perfect learning machines capable of adapting to any strategy, any tactic, any rational approach to warfare. But they couldn't adapt to chaos. They couldn't predict what humans would do next because the humans didn't know what they would do next. The tide of battle turned when a human engineer, broadcasting from what appeared to be a mobile repair platform, discovered something remarkable. "Hey everyone," the voice crackled over the comm. "These Devourer things process information like quantum computers, right? Well, I just figured out what happens when you feed a quantum computer a paradox." What followed was a coordinated barrage of the most illogical, contradictory, and mathematically impossible maneuvers ever attempted. Humans flew in formations that shouldn't have worked, executed strategies that violated basic physics, and somehow managed to confuse an artificial intelligence into temporary shutdown. In the end, it wasn't superior firepower or advanced technology that saved Kepler 442b. It was pure, concentrated, weaponized chaos, delivered with a smile and a joke about someone's mother. As the last Devourer vessel fell silent, its quantum processors finally overwhelmed by the sheer impossibility of human behavior, Captain Chen's face reappeared on Kethvar's screen. "So, Admiral," she said, still grinning that predatory grin, "what else you got that needs killing?" Kethavar looked at his tactical display, then at Irinda, then back at the human captain. For the first time in months, he felt something he'd thought was lost forever. Hope. Irrational, mathematically impossible hope. "Captain Chen," he said, "I believe we have 16 more systems that could use your unique approach to problem solving." "Outstanding. Load 'em up, boys and girls, we've got a galaxy to save." And across the comm channels from dozens of human ships came a sound that would become legendary throughout the galaxy. The sound of humans laughing in the face of impossible odds. After all, they had a saying for situations like this: if you're going through hell, keep going. The Devourers had been perfectly designed to fight a rational war against logical opponents. They had never been designed to fight humans.